Okay, a very good morning to all of you for gathering here for this meetup. So this is the extension of the meetups what we do host, the leadership series and the data science meetup. It's an extension of that meetup. So we are more focusing upon particular technology. This time we are coming up with Fintech, which is a financial technology in which we'll be discussing and exploring how data science, AI, ML and deep learning is being used in that particular area. So without wasting much of your time, we'll quickly start off with the day. So I'll just set up the agenda. So what will be the agenda for the day? Next slide. Okay. So it's a very long and exciting day today. So we'll start off, we have the prominent speaker like Dr. Abhijit Gangopadhyay, few of them you know them very well, who is the Dean of Aegis. Then Mr. Bhupesh Dahiria, he is the CEO and the founder of this entire Aegis group. Then we have Science Sain with us. So he is the head HDFC Data Lab. He is heading the entire data analytics lab for HDFC. We have Pallab Bhattacharya. He is the associate director with Business Intelligence Excellence and Data Science at Edelweiss Financial Services. We'll be having with us Gaurav Proval. He is the president and head for analytics at Yes Bank. We have with us Virendra Pal. So he is the chief innovation and analytics solution officer at SME Corner. We'll be having with us Aishwarya Nair. So she will be having a product demo. She'll be giving a product demonstration. And she's a full stack data scientist at Flexi Loans. Then we have Sachin Mehra with us. So he's a associate vice president at data science at HSBC. Then at last but not the least, we'll be having very exciting sessions. So you will all have an opportunity to meet with the Aegis Rockstar. So we'll have a very exciting panel discussion. So they will be walking you through, you guys, their journey, how to become and how they have become data scientists. So it's a long and exciting day. And so we'll start off with Mr. Bhupesh Dahiria session. He is amongst us. So he'll be talking upon background of fintech and data science. So may I please invite on the dais Mr. Bhupesh Dahiria. Can we have a round of applause?
The chairs are down. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so you'll have a whole long day packed up with a lot of speakers. All right. So I'm not very much needed today, but I'll try to really set up the background, right, so that like you guys can really digest what kind of sessions you will be having the whole day, right? So what I'll be doing, I'll be setting up the agenda. Number one, what is fintech? Why it is needed? What are the financial services? What are the trends happening? Who is making the investment? How data science, AI, ML is actually playing the role in this area? What are the other technologies other than say data science and AI which is actually impacting this whole financial services gamut, right? And if time allows, we'll take a Q&A, right? But I am supposed to wrap up in say 30 minutes. Now, how many of you don't agree with this? Anybody don't agree with this? All of us, we need money, right? And typically if you go to bank will give only money to those who already have the money, right? Those who have already borrowed the money or those who have something to really mortgage, they'll not give money to those who do not have the money, right? This looks like a bank, right? Even in Hiranandani, if you go, all these banks, top banks are in beautiful buildings like this, right? Is this a bank? What is this? Before we dive down into the new wave of fintech, let's see I call it like a first wave of the fintech. That time it used to be called as mobile money, right? This fintech fancy word has come now. Anybody having idea what is this? Anybody? Guys, let's have some conversation. What is this? It's a digital bank. Good. Anybody? You can read actually. I have took up some image so that you can read. Is this looks like a bank? Is it a bank? Is it a kirana shop? We can find in Kurla and in Mumbai you will find these kind of shops, right? This is a picture of Kenya, right? It is written over M-Pesa, mobile phones, accessories, right? SIM card and M-Pesa registration. What is M-Pesa? It's a self-explanatory, right? It's a mobile Pesa. And this service was first launched in 2007. And that was actually, bankings are using technology for a long, but this was, I think, I call it like a first wave of Fintech, right? And that time it used to be called as a mobile money. And M-Pesa won a lot of awards. They also won our Aegis Graham Bell Award. They've done tremendously good job, right? Because in Africa, most of the people are unbanked. What is unbanked? What is the world population? Why this actually wave came? Why this M-Pesa came in existence? What is the world population? 7.2 billion roughly. And there are different estimates, right? So different people say different figures, but it's a roughly estimated that half of the world population do not have the bank accounts, right? There is some figure which is by McKinsey which says roughly around 2.5 billion people do not have access to any formal banking or microfinancing or any other thing. Let's understand what is the impact if you don't have a bank account. What kind of impact it can really have on your life? How many of you have the bank account? Almost all of you, right? And those who do not have the bank account, what kind of impact it can really have? Imagine that if your parent didn't have the bank account, do you think that you could have really paid money to come and join this meetup? Do you think you could have paid money, borrowed the money? How many took the bank loan to study this program? Majority of them, right? Most of you would have not been able to really come over here or do anything, right? Imagine that out of 7.2 billion people, half of them they could not really do anything because they don't have the money. And I call it as a birth penalty. Birth penalty, you get it because of two reasons. What are those reasons? You're born poor and you are born at some poor place. Like say for example, you're born in Africa, you're born in say Jharkhand, you're born in Bastar and you're born poor and you don't have. So first you have a location disadvantage. This location is a bad location and moreover you are a poor. And maybe even if you are rich, you don't have those access to digital services. And if you don't have the bank account, no bank will give you the loan. And if you don't take the loan, your credit history will go bad, right? So tomorrow, even if you have the money somehow and you want to take a loan, maybe at the age of 50, no bank will give you the loan because you have never borrowed the money. It's a vicious cycle. And this vicious cycle leads to the birth penalty. And you will never be able to really get access to the good quality of education, good quality of life. You cannot really establish business because you don't have the credit history. So imagine half of the world population will remain poor. Why? Why? Because they don't have the bank account, right? Isn't it fair? Isn't it unfair? It is quite unfair, right? You are poor because you simply don't have the bank account. And that led to the rise of all these mobile money, fintech companies. There were companies which could really see the whole opportunity, right? Now people see business as like an evil thing, right? Making money is something evil, at least in our society called India. But you see, you can't really make money if you can't really add value. And mobile money, Vodafone launched it and they could really help people to really do the transaction. Now with feature phone, they didn't have the smartphone. Most of the fintech applications, right, say Google Pay, right, Paytm Pay requires some degree of a smartphone integration. This application was built on say feature phone. Say in Africa, you can't even carry the money because somebody will rob you. If you have ATM, people will come, dig out the ATM, put it into the car and they will take away, right? So carrying money is like carrying a death warrant with you, right? It's carrying like a diamond. So what this has done, like so you have a very low cost feature phone, nobody will like to really steal it, right? It's hardly like a 300 or 400 bucks phone, and through that phone you do the transaction, and that is what has actually opened the eyes to the world, and people saw that there is a huge opportunity, right? These people, those who were poor, the world was neglecting them, and all of a sudden this opened a ray of hope that yes, we can actually serve them, we can help them to really become a rich, right? We can really help them to improve their life, and this whole process we can also make some significant amount of the money, right? Because that time the ARPU, which is average revenue per user for the mobile companies, was pretty low. In India the ARPU was around say 71 rupees, and to maintain a mobile connection for the whole year cost a lot. It costs roughly around $10, right? $5 to $10. Now it is very difficult to even maintain a mobile connection because you have a cost, and that led the whole revolution of fintech, right? We have fantastic speakers today who will be throwing a light more about which are the different services where these things are impacting. Now we understood the background, right? Okay. What is fintech? These slides explain everything, right? Fintech is basically merging of financial services and technology, right? Can we see that, right? Which are the financial services? What are the financial services? What is financial service? What is financial service? What are the financial services? Maybe you may not be knowing a lot of financial services, but some of the financial services you use. What are those financial services? Banking. So you can really open an account and you can deposit money, you can withdraw money, you can take loans, which is taking a credit. What else? Savings, right? Mutual funds, non-banking financial companies, insurance, right? Why you take insurance? To secure yourself from any kind of uncertainties, right? So all these kind of things like issuing the credit card, investment banking, right? Mutual funds, all these things. So financial services deals with all those services which help you to really manage your money, right? Circulation of the money in a different form, right? And the traditional banking has been heavily impacted by technology, right? Because when you have to really go for larger base of the customers, you need the technology. When you want to really improve the customer experience, customer satisfaction, you need technology, right? And this whole influx of the technology which has came into the financial services actually led to fintech, right? Okay, so these are like various financial services which we've already discussed, right? Now which are the technologies which are impacting the financial services domain or leading to the rise of fintech, right? Number one is basically digital stack. So we can call it social, mobile and cloud. How cloud is playing a role in this area? How cloud is playing a role in this area? Wonderful. Cloud is giving you enormous space to really store the data, although the banks already had a huge data warehouse, right? But a lot of data which they could really put it on the public space, they are using the cloud, right? What else? What else? Most of the applications which you are using, they are on the cloud, right? So cloud is basically infrastructure, right? Just like a bank needs a physical land to really build a building. Now all for those digital services you need a cloud, right? So cloud is basically a digital land for all those your digital services, be it mobile, be it say social, be it security or be it complete digitization on everything, right? So that's the basic foundation. Next, what is next? Mobile, right? Why mobile? What impact mobile is bringing on this financial services area? Ease of operation. On the go. Any idea what kind of mobile numbers are there in this world or even in this country? Why mobile has become so important? What is the world population? 7.2 billion. How many mobile connections are there on this earth? Already crossed the world population. What is India's population? 1.25 billion. What is the mobile subscription level? Already crossed India's population. Does it mean that everybody is having the mobile phone? The answer is no. But how many mobile phones, how many unique subscribers are having the mobile phone? At least in India? Any idea? Roughly around 700 million people, right? But do 700 million people have the banking account? No, right? So 700 million people, they have access to the mobile phone. It means they can have the access to the financial services right there on mobile phone without going to the ATM or without going to the bank. And this kind of financial inclusion this mobile can really bring. And that's the reason mobile is one of the foundation. Cloud and mobile, these are the two things which are foundation. Even before cloud came, mobile actually led this wave. Right? What next? Social. Why social? Why social? Look, whole day you will be hearing a lot of jargons, right? My objective is to really lay down the foundation, help you to really think. So you just don't speak blindly that yes, mobile, cloud, social, blockchain, this is leading to fintech. Now, why it is leading? We need to really understand.
Social platform are these days now contributing to the financial services. Like if we talk about YouTube, it pays you to run your channel.
Oh, that's their business model.
Spread awareness about the financial services provided by a particular financial firm. You need to have access to
Okay, that's one part, that is spreading the message. But how social is getting into this whole area? Please come. How social? So I thought before you come, let me set up the context. How social is playing a role other than spreading the message? Have you heard Apple is coming into this area, Facebook is coming into this area, Paytm is already on the world map, right? Right? WhatsApp payment, right? Right? All these companies now they have a channel. Now banks, how banks thrive? How banks thrive? Bank needs a customer, bank needs somebody who can really borrow a money. Bank needs somebody who can deposit the money, but more than deposit, bank needs somebody who can really borrow the money and pay the interest. This is how banks thrive. So they need customers. And already these social media platforms, they have billions of customers, more than bank can really imagine. And these social media platforms are in your life, right? Whole day, how many times you look at your Facebook page or WhatsApp message? Perhaps like every minute once, right? In an hour, perhaps you really look at your mobile phone at least 60 times or 50 times. Do you really go, when was the last time you visited your bank? Any of you? Or when was the last time you visited your ATM? Maybe some of you, in the cash, right? Which you will stop, right? But you visit at least in a day, maybe 1,000 times on a Facebook, 1,000 times on the WhatsApp. This is the channel. And already you have built a trust. When you can really share your photograph, when you can really share your private messages, which if otherwise leaked out, your life will be destroyed. Would you not trust these channels to really do the transaction of transferring 100 rupees or 200 rupees or maybe 1000 rupees? isn't it? Right? And that's the reason whole space of financial services delivery is changing, because this is a channel. Mobile is a channel. Vodafone has become a bank in Africa, right? So the whole traditional dynamics of structured silo institutions, banking, telecom, social media company, tech companies, right, startups, this is all blurring. This is all collapsing, and we are seeing absolutely a new different world. And it is likely that roughly around 20% to 50% of bank employees will lose their job in next 4 to 5 years time. This is the kind of disruption it is bringing, right? Now, what is next? Blockchain. Why blockchain?
Secure.
There are a lot of things secure, but they didn't came into the banking. Huh?
Distributed ledger.
Okay, distributed ledger. Okay, can you really simplify further? Distributed database.
Parallelly edited parallelly.
Okay, how it is impacting these?
Difficult to fudge. Basically, everyone can see what different transactions are happening.
So changes can be reflected parallelly.
Okay, so this offered, so in banking there are a lot of fraud happens, right? So you will try to really pose as if you have huge money, right? But you don't have the money, right? So blockchain can really bring certain degree of a transparency, a huge transparency in terms of keeping the record safe, in terms of really contractual obligations, all those stuff. So blockchain is significantly leading the wave in this fintech, right? Of course, blockchain is used in most of the industries for the security purpose. What is next? Right? We are here to really talk about why I have bundled data science, AI, ML, DL. Why it is impacting this area? Why? Now we have Sansen, he will be talking more about how data science is really helping. But you guys, most of you are studying data science, why it is impacting the financial services area?
Huge amount of data is being created, so to make sense out of it.
Yeah. Of course, so banks have a huge, so let us take very small case. How about giving a loan to somebody who do not have the bank and who do not have the credit history? So how you will really measure his credit worthiness, right? So if you have the mobile phone and you know this guy is actually charging his phone, say every month 500 rupees, you know where he lives because you have the location address, so that he cannot really fudge. So you know whether he lives in, say, Kurla or Nala Supara, or whether he lives in Vashi, right? So based on his location, actually you can really find out what kind of rental he might be paying and what kind of a house he might be holding. So banks would like to really see what is the risk in terms of really giving you the loan. So I will give you the loan only when I know that you have enough money or property to really pay me back, right? So they want to really assess the risk. So if we use big data to store this kind of information and then apply data science to really analyze that data, and if we really bring some certain degree of automation using the AI, right, then we can really find the insight. We can really build up some automated data products to find out whether we have to really give the loan or not, right? And there's so many use cases which a lot of the speakers will be talking about, right? So does it really make sense? And that's the reason data science, AI is really taking this whole financial inclusion to a different level. If we have to really serve to those who are unbanked, which is roughly around 2.5 billion to 50% of the world population, we need to rely on the data, because people are accessing the website, right? They are emitting a lot of data, and social media is having the data. So today, why all these social media companies want to really get into this financial services domain? Because they have the data about you. They know everything about you. So there is no way that you can actually do the fraud. If Google launches, do you think that you can really escape with the Google? Google knows precisely what time you have entered into this college, what time you are moving out, where you are going and where you are not going, right? So they can really put a drone after you to really catch you, right? They can really recover the money. They can really completely shut down any digital interface which you are having, and they can force you to actually pay money, right? They're in much better situation. What is this? RPA, robotic process automation, right? So most of the processes which are manual processes, now companies are automating that because you want to really serve more number of customers. AR, what is AR? Augmented reality, right? And security, which is the most important thing. As the digital inclusion is happening, digitization happening, a lot of frauds are happening. So the security is going to really play a major role. Security, of course, was always very important pillar, but now it has become further more important in this area. And within security, AI and machine learning plays a huge role. Okay, what is data science? So let us set up the context because a lot of people, a lot of technology stack when you will be seeing, you will see only AI or only ML and all those stuff. Somebody use the big data, right? But I would like to summarize in one slide. So data science is about making the sense out of the data, which traditional analytics also used to really do. But now we have the huge amount of the data which traditional analysts cannot really analyze, right? Which is the log file, which is the social media stuff, which is your mobile transactions, right? So you have a huge tons amount of the data which you need to really store in what? Big data. So data science is basically how data science makes the sense out of the data by using big data, ML, DL, stats and AI, right? AI is a combination of multiple technologies, which is speech to text, text to speech, which is NLP, which is ML, which is DL, right? Robotics, all these combinations of the technology leads to the AI, right? So there is nothing as such AI, right? Most of the applications of AI which you will find, they are basically ML applications or NLP applications. So this is one part. The second part of data science is deals with the building up a data product. Data product could be a recommended system, right? So you want to really buy a mutual fund, it can really give you recommendation. You want to really go and buy insurance, it can really give you the recommendation. You want to send emailers, you have say 20 million customers. Now would you like to really send emailers to all those 20 million customers? No, you would like to send emailers to those who are likely to open your email or those who are likely to buy your services. That is where machine learning or data science will play a role, and you would not like to do it all these jobs manually. So you would like to really build the product. So one part is doing the analysis, the other part is building up a data product. And to do these two things, data scientists, they use the stack of big data, ML, AI, DL, NLP and all those stuff, right? So you don't have to really fall in debate what is data science, what is AI, what is ML and what is DL. This is all useless. What banks will require you to really do the analysis and build the product, that's all, right? So don't fall in debate what is that and what is not, right? Okay, why fintech is rising? We already discussed, right? Because a lot of people, they are not financially included. Rise of these technologies are happening. Millennia is coming, right? People more on the social media. All these things are leading to how much time I have? Okay, I have 5 minutes. So I will leave this PPT, right? So these are typical areas where the fintechs are playing a role, which is typically in credit, payment, investment management, personal finance, right? So within fintech, you have two separate segments, which is bantech and insurance tech, right? Now those who are planning to really start startup, these are the kind of figures you can really see. So the fintech investment is growing exponentially, right? Last year alone, there were roughly around $40 billion investment was done in this area, right? Now there are some from India. These are the two companies which are emerging, Policy Bazaar and Paytm, right? They have emerged as a unicorn. And 20 years back, 10 years back, they were nowhere in the picture, right? So all these companies, and even you as an entrepreneur, you can really launch company and you can really disrupt these large players. So the biggest competition to establish banks are the startup companies. So you have Credit Vidya, you have Flexi Loans, right? So you have today Flexi Loans speaker coming and giving the demonstration, right? So thank you guys, thank you so much. Now we have Dr. Gangopadhyay who will deliver his talk, and then we have Sayan Sen. Sir.
क्या भाई चले क्या very good morning to all of you. I feel really excited to speak to you on fintech because I don't know anything. The strength of a person is if you know little, then you can very confident in speaking about it. And I have seen my teachers, those who are knowing less used to be a good teacher. And those who are knowing all actually was a most low related teacher. So you can take me in any way. I think I have an advantage. I think it's nice and appropriate to talk on fintech because these very sad things have happened. Can you go to the next one? You see, it is very scary in terms of this thing. You see, my professor used to tell us that hardly there is anything which has happened which is spectacular after Einstein in physics. There is hardly anything has happened in terms of theory, in concepts of statistics after our teacher Professor Mahalanobis. Anything has happened in terms of the medical sciences after the Sigmund Freud. You see, I don't know whether you know these people because nothing original came which could revolutionize our thinking. But the sad thing and very bad thing which has happened about fintech in financial market, you see the entire financial system was set up which year? In 1804 when US had it was set up in US when we had the third a very controversial president of US and his name was Barr. I think if you Google it, you will get it. There is nothing exceptional. And the person who set up this one is the person name, you can see Weekwen. I don't know how you can say. And since then, nothing has happened in terms of application of technology in financial institutions. And we are the victims. I belong to a generation which started thinking about financial management. My decades of teaching experience says that most of the people, my students used to opt for finance without knowing what it is. And actually I know what it was only getting a good salary. So they used to. And then financial market was like this. I have a very good colleague, friend, classmate who used to head one of the financial institutions, I should not name it. And we had a scheme which actually promised lot of things in terms of return. And we people actually our salary was very low in India at that time when we started our career. We started investing in that, almost everybody. After when it matured, we could not get anything out of it. It is a scheme called Unit 64. And it was a debacle for all people. I think whom to blame? It is we are to blame. Nobody can blame anybody. Because we were not knowing what we are doing. Financial institutions are promising without anything. So for example, if we in Aegis, we promise all of you that we will give you a good job. I think it is impossible. no institution in the world really can promise such things. You get a job because you deserve. But financial market, fintech, application of technology in financial market, I think he was excellent in terms of synchronizing the whole concept, has been quite inappropriate. And that is one of the reasons why we need to think aloud in terms of understanding fintech. And fintech is a very stylish, at some point of time it's a very snobbish jargon. People are talking about fintech, and I think today it's a very volatile market. I think, and when the uncertainty is more, so for example, when I don't believe in astrology, but still when my daughter has to be married, I wanted to, people were advising me to consult astrologer because I don't know what technique and tool they use. I have not consulted because I could not get any appropriate astrologer. The other party, my daughter's in-law side, they were not interested. But I think I got narrowly escaped, because most of the time when this type of prediction, actually what we are trying to look at it in financial market, we are trying to look at a systematic return which can be predicted and projected. You see, if you look at it, some would argue that financial services industry has changed very little since then. And this is where we are standing now, talking about financial application of technology in financial market. I think we have lots of Mr. San, I think Dr. Sansen will be talking to you in terms of understanding this one. He is from the financial sector. But I really don't know, and what is exactly it will happen. Now all innovation ought to happen from the technology end. Innovation is no more. I think we have reached a capacity, extreme height of capacity achievement in terms of innovation through our human cognitive sciences. I was having a interaction with somebody, a think tank of a country which is rated very high in innovation. Which country all of you are very aware is Singapore. They have a think tank, not think tank like India, Niti Aayog, Planning Commission. I am very respectful to them. That institution is called A-Star. And then they were telling that I think probably we need to have technology based innovation. And I tell you, this forecasting and other things, all sorts of things requires a huge database analysis. Earlier, all intuitions were, all decisions were taken on guards, and that is what data science is arguing against now. We need to have an integration in which we can integrate data and take a cognitive application through which we can apply in terms of financial prediction. So, this is why probably the context is very appropriate for today. Achha, if you look at it, the challenges in financial sector, as I understand, that the service industry have changed very little since then. Change has sometimes slowly in terms of financial services, and innovation has proceeded into an evolutionary stage. It is very good to have, you see, anywhere evolution takes place, what will happen? It will not get you a radical things happening. Say for example, today, if you think about how we are developing, we are not going in an incremental stages. Now stage has come when people are thinking of incremental innovations, where it is not. Say for example, today when I got experienced with some of the innovation labs in this world, it's mind boggling. And this is primarily happening because the data is now being processed in very advanced way through the technological interface. And if you look at it, recent decades have borne witness to introduction of technology solutions, and these technology solutions actually made fintech so appropriate in today's world. So for example, it is true for everyone, but one of the domain in which innovation could be more activated is financial institution, because it makes sense. When People say that data science is the sexiest job of the century. Actually, what it means, it has the financial implication. You get lots of things in terms of compensation, in terms of reward, in terms of doing something which worth doing, and no reward comes without having the background activities. So, you get reward only when you deserve to be rewarded, and financial market is very, very volatile. Say for example, today it is very sad to think the traditional brand of Dalal Street experts, I think they all are now feeling restless and they are adopting name embracing technology. So, for example, today if you have seen the spectrum of growth in terms of the financial tech sectors like automated teller machines, online banking, and as Mr. Bhupesh was just now indicating that today there is nothing, not much of things to happen in terms of predicting a person and locating a person, because data is already available, everybody knows where you are. About 15-20 years back, one of the ITS service people asked me to have some study, and I was there in the midnight when the American market was open. I was finding somebody was discussing with somebody. He says that I don't have any job. He says that you at least give $1. He said that I can't give you 50 cents also. So, the question is whether he was lying or he was actually telling something which was not known to that person, but he said at least 50 cents if you can do, you will make a day for me. And you won't believe, when he paid 50 cents, entire calls in this IT call center, people of that group was celebrating. See, this was happening purely on manual interface, but today it is not going to happen. Today it is possible to integrate, and Fintech is all about integration of technology in terms of interfacing with the financial processes. I will not talk to you, but this is going to be a disruptive. Fintech is a disruptive process which everybody will know. Say in 2018 executive summary found that nearly 80% of top executives fear their firms were at risk of disruption. Say today I have grown up with an organization which has just collapsed because of financial reason. Just now all of us in India is scary. It is called Jet Air. I have seen Mr. Goel very closely, and then I think I know his interface with him. I think he was so confident, but he could not manage his finances. Why, you don't ask me? I think it's basically his finance department's inability to provide him acumen, and today he is totally collapsed. Say the people are blocking his business from all corners. Think about Amsterdam airport, flight is about to leave. The leaser came and then acquired it because he said that we have analyzed it that you don't deserve any, we can't take any more risk chances with you. So this can happen. The rising fear of disruption and potential displacement can be attributed to the part of increasing threat of encroachment coming from big technology giants. The world is at now, it is given by, it is totally technology driven. So you can see all these things, and all these players you are quite well versed with, and did not tell you. So I am not, this morning we are not thinking about getting scared, because if you are scared then you cannot do anything. Now you need to enhance your capability in terms of analyzing, appreciating both technology and related areas in terms of making the financial market quite appropriately structured. I will leave this experience. The future of Fintech is very exciting. It is one of the professor of Wharton has said, Fintech and digital leaders have created new excellence in customers' experience. It's wonderful, huh? And if you see, it has permanently changed customer expectation with regard to the speed and credit decisioning and the choice of flexibility and available with regards to the range of offer and prices. Everything is getting determined by that way. And these are all possible because high-end application of technology. I think I will not take much time because ek kam karega, haan. I will complete with this one. You kindly go through it. So, for example, if you look at research examples of fintech firms have found opportunities in innovation includes, one is Quantipian. It's a community. It's a software unit, it's a company. If you Google it, you will find everything of them. What they are doing, over huge community, quant users, sharing platform where they can develop and share algorithm and trade in the market. And actually it's a service, it's a software firm. If you look at the Kenso, if you have heard this name, anybody have heard his name? The Kenso is an AI engine focused putting data and analytics at fingertips of non-technical users for bringing data science. It is another innovation. It's mind-boggling innovation. If you can go through, and I was just making some effort in terms of understanding this. I told you I am not a very knowledgeable person in this. LSEN, a high-performance computing engine which will change the way we think about financial market. And it is being already done, that can take a complex model of huge funds and traders, process and results in minutes. And today, many institutions which are facing crumbling crisis, say as a student, I had a dream of working with GE, although I could not get a job there. Why? Because my professors used to say they have a solid financial structure. Today, my students, those who are working, they are leaving GE or they have been terminated from GE, I don't know. There are multiple ways of looking at it. When I ask them, they say GE is not a working company because it could not manage its financial systems. And you know, one by one, GE verticals are collapsing. And this is being predicted by so sophisticated innovative strategies. And I think fintech is a very great thing. I am going to be with you for the whole day. I mean, I don't know about Mr. Bhupesh, I am here. I will also try to learn. Because it seems that Mr. Sen, he has to go somewhere. And I think he has a specific appointments at 11. So I leave it. I have the entire PPT. We can continue with that. There is not much of problem. But let us think fintech as a process enrichment and what can happen by application of it. And in data science has a very positive role to play because it's an AI based applications. Everything is. So today I think we are organizing a people analytic conference on 26th of this month. I was talking to some of my old students working in CRISIL. He says, sir, I think we are in great trouble because we are trying to understand and apply this new technology. He said, come. He said, people is not a problem for us. Our problem is absorption and innovation of this innovative technology which will provide us a long lasting solutions in terms of financial market. I think nobody wants to be a loser, especially in terms of finance market. And we have this Sen, and I think he will give you some insights because he has to go. So we will make space for him. We have a break? No. So I think isko rakh de, and this entire PPT will be there. Hope we can take